So this offseason, the Washington Commanders made a really, really great upgrade and change to this roster. Whether it's bringing in Debo Samuel, bringing in Laramie Tunsil, upgrading the interior of the defensive line after how piss poor it was stopping the run last year. The Washington Commanders roster is significantly better headed into 2025 season. But how good is each position group headed into training camp? Not only are we going to talk about is the Washington Commanders roster top 10 as a whole, but we're also going to break down each position group and give it a letter grade. Let's talk about it.
The way that we live is not for everybody.
Nah, that ain't it, y'all.
How do you think the rest of Jaden Daniels' career is going to go? If we're, 6-7 games into Jaden Daniels' career and he's already milking injuries? Like,
stop saying my name, you dick riding bastard. I love the way she move it, shake it on me. When she cry for him, and Shawty is the winner. You can tell that Shawty love again now. She's confident.
YouTube, what's going on? It's Juan Gotti here. We on the Washington Commanders live stream. And in today's live stream, we're going to be talking about where do the Washington Commanders roster rank in terms of is it top 10? And we're also going to break down each position group headed into training camp to see what letter grade do you give it out there. Now, here is the thing about this specific topic. I was going to make it a video, but I am on borrowed time. So I was like, okay, if I can't make it a video, let me at least get it out a live stream or something like that to where we can still have this discussion. The Washington Commanders roster made a significant upgrade this offseason, as mentioned time and time again. There are still holes on this roster that you may feel needs to be worked out, but in terms of the roster in its whole compared to last season, I think it's a significant upgrade. And I look at this roster as, is it top 10? Is it one of the best rosters in the league as a whole? I still think there are some areas in which I think Washington needs to improve on. And I think a lot of us feel that way as well, whether it's the safety position because you don't know what you're getting beyond Will Hurst and Quan Martin, whether it's still stuff like the offensive line interiorly, who's going to step in for Sam Cosmi, how big of a drop off will not having Sam Cosmi at the start of the season be, whether it's the wide receiver position, because truthfully be told, outside of Terry McLaurin and Debo Samuel, who else has been proven in this league? Yeah, I know I like Michael Gallup. I like Noah Brown. I think those guys are two great additions that could potentially be to this offense. But truthfully, how do we feel about that at this current moment? And then obviously the tight end position as well. The tight end position is another position group where you have stuff. You have an elderly Zach Ertz that was really exceeded expectations last year and is able to give you 600 plus receiving yards. If he can do anything close to that again this season, that's another A plus for him. But he's a dinosaur at this point of his career. He's ancient. What do you have behind him? You have a guy, John Bates, that you just paid, who's primarily a blocking tight end, but you think he has the potential to be something more than that, as they paid him this money to be more involved into the offense. So that John Bates, Ben Sinnott as well, like second year for him. I feel like he has to have a huge year because last season, outside of what that touchdown pass that I could vividly remember, and I think he had another reception or another play in a NFC Championship game where Tress Way threw him the fake punt. Like outside of that, it wasn't really much for Benson. So you can have question marks about this roster, but again, I'm flipping it on its head. It's still in a better place than what it was last season. So let's actually kick it off. I was looking for my dry erase board marker, but I don't seem to be able to find it right now. Because I was gonna write it down each grade, but going position by position, quarterback position, kicking it off. You have Jaden Daniels, you have Marcus Mariota, you have Josh Johnson, and you have Sam Hartman. Now, headed into training camp, I think the immediate reaction is this quarterback room is an A for me. And it's obviously dominated by number 5 and how good he is as a starting quarterback in this league. But I do think last season Marcus Mariota silenced the critics like myself that felt like a guy like Jeff Driscoll back in preseason of last year. I was banging the table and screaming, "Hey, Jeff Driscoll looks better than Marcus Mariota. He needs to be quarterback too." Like I was sincerely sold on Jeff Driscoll because of what I seen from him in preseason and the lack thereof of Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota was already hurt, if I can remember correctly, during the preseason time. So I'm like, man, like, let's go Jeff Driscoll. But I Marcus Mariota, he silenced the critics, and he's back on another 1 year deal. There was a lot of talks about him potentially going elsewhere to be either a backup, another bridge quarterback to another rookie guy, or potentially go to a starting position. And he came back, and I think that's the perfect backup quarterback for number 5, Jaden Daniels. And we've seen it time and time again last year, their relationship on and off the field, and key moments like the Atlanta Falcons game. Stand up, get your air, and go use your God given abilities to win us this game. You're seeing how in Week 18, when Marcus Mariota pretty much played majority of the game, Jaden Daniels was how hyped he was for him and how good Marcus Mariota was in that game. Because outside of Mariota, or without Mariota, I should say, we probably would have lost that game. That big run late versus Dallas, and throwing that pass to Terry McLaurin, allowing him to get a touchdown, and then early on in the season when Jaden Daniels went down in the Panthers game, he came in and really it was no drop off, right? It was really no drop off. So Marcus Mariota is a damn good backup, and I'm so glad he's back. And with Sam Hartman, I think really it's going to be a big preseason for him because a guy like Josh Johnson, who has been here before in 2018, I still remember that run that he had with us when we were the Redskins, and I remember we played the Titans that Christmas Day game. I still remember that like crazy. But Josh Johnson, he probably has the leg up given the fact that he's played for just pretty much everybody in the league. He's played for multiple different leagues as well. UFL, I believe it was the AAF maybe or the XFL too. I don't know. I just know he played for multiple different leagues. Been everywhere in the NFL, so he has that veteran presence. He's been around that they could be looking for at that position group. Now, what I will say is the thing that can give Sam Hartman the benefit of the doubt, in my opinion, is one, he's young. Two, you already have a savvy vet on a Josh Johnson level and Marcus Mariota. So not to say that two veteran quarterbacks and one second year sophomore quarterback wouldn't be helpful. It would, but that allows you, given the fact that Marcus Mariota was here last year, and we know how important and impactful that his leadership can be as a veteran. Maybe that lessens the importance of having two veterans, which allows you to keep a Sam Hartman around because a lot of people love Sam Hartman. I mean, the guy has a whole platform outside of football. Like he came into the league shoot with like 500K followers on the gram. So he's already like, even if he doesn't start, he's still like a public figure in the NFL. Like people love Sam Hartman. So I don't know if his face card himself keeps him in the burgundy and gold, but I do think he has a big preseason ahead of him and a big summer to really try to snag away that third quarterback position. I think if he's able to do that, that solidifies this quarterback group. It really do. You have two young guys and you have a veteran that can go in a pinch if need be. So for me, and it has a lot to do with the high player Jane Daniels and the which has would resurrection be a bad term, but I guess to say for me to kind of like Mariota and seeing how good he played last year, it gives me the confidence to say, okay, that's it. That to me is an A group. And then we're just waiting for the third quarterback. You go to the running back position for me, and this is a position group that I feel is okay. I think if we did not draft Ja'Cory, Krosky, Mert in the 7th round, I would be much lower on this position group. And it's not for the simple fact that our running back room is bad. It's just mid, right? Like I've always said time and time again when I make my videos on a guy like Brian Robinson, it's not to say B Rob is bad, it's trash, it doesn't deserve to be in the league. No, that's not how I feel about Brian Robinson, and that's not how I would say 95% of the fan base feel about Brian Robinson. We all love B Rob. The thing is, we feel like Brian Robinson isn't your every down back. He's not a guy that gets 25, 30 carries a game that allows you to feel okay, we're getting the production out of this running back position group, because truthfully, we haven't been. And he's a guy that's short yardage, give you 500, 600 yards a season, paired up with your 1,000 yard back. I think of him as a poor man's David Montgomery, because or even a poor man's Najee Harris. And the reason why I say Najee Harris, because even Najee Harris has, I think every year of his career has had 1,000 yards, and B Rob hasn't cracked. I don't want to say 900. I don't think he's cracked 900. So D Rob is solid. I'm higher on Austin Eckler than most people. I think Austin Eckler is pretty good. I think healthy wise, he can be a true weapon for this offense. We've seen it time and time again. When he was on the field last year, he said even he had the injuries in his most recent interview. He said like last season was his most impactful season in a while in terms of stats and production. And it's like, wow, that's crazy to say considering the fact that he missed some time, both times with concussions. So if he can play 17 games in the role that he did last year, who knows? Maybe the sky is the limit for a guy like Austin Eckler. So I'm higher on Eckler as most people. McNichols and Rodriguez, uh, I'm not really like too fond of those two. Like Rodriguez, I feel like he's cool. I feel like you can call him up in a pinch, and if a guy like Brian Robinson goes down again and he gets bruised, battered, and banged up, how he often does around week 6, week 7, maybe you call up a Chris Rodriguez and he's good for being a backup guy. I do think he can play at this level, but he's not someone you lose sleep over, and that's the same for Jeremy McNichols. McNichols, I think, is a guy like you have already in Austin Eckler. So do they keep four running backs? Because you already got B Rob, no non-negotiable, Austin Eckler, non-negotiable, and you have Bill, Ja'Cory Krosky non-negotiable. And I hate that people harp on this seventh round pick narrative, and he's a seventh round pick, and you're telling me he's better than Brian Robinson. But it's like if you watched the tape and you understood Ja'Cory Krosky, you would have known that he would have probably been a third, fourth round pick had he played last season. He did not play last season much because of the eligibility issue, but had he played, he would not have fallen to the seventh round. So yes, it's a big reason why a lot of fans are high on Ja'Cory Krosky because they see a lot of the potential. Again, I've always made the point. I see Antonio Gibson in him, but a much better and more fluid version. Like I see a more pure runner than I do Antonio Gibson. Like for me, if I could really make the NFL comp to those two guys, I would say Ja'Cory Krosky is the more running back Gibby, and Gibby's the better pass catcher and route runner because Gibby was a receiver coming out of Memphis. Then he transitioned to running back. It's the other way around for Murd. Murd is a running back first, and he can pass catch out the backfield. But I am super high on him. I do think he has the potential at some point to become the starting running back for this team. Of course, he has to go out and earn it, right? I could talk all day about how much I think he can be effective to this offense, but again, he is a seventh round pick for what everybody wants to say, so he has to earn it. Um, but overall, I would probably give the running back room a C plus, and that plus is solely coming for the upside of Mert. I think if it was just B Rob and Eckler, we'll be able to get by. I think it would be solid. I think they both will be able to contribute, but not on no B or A plus level range. I hope I am wrong, and I hope B Rob stays healthy and he's able to finally crack 1,000 yards and be that damn good back that we solely need. But I just don't know if that's the case. So I would probably say C plus for that whole entire group. And answer this question down below: do they keep four backs on the active roster? I think they keep three, and I think a McNichols gets cut. I do. I've always said that, and I think the reason why McNichols gets cut is because he's not going to no Patty's practice squad. He's either making your active roster or he gets cut and he's picked up on somebody else's active roster. He's not somebody that you can sneak through waivers and throw him on a practice squad. That's why I've always said, I said my one of my biggest hot takes early on in this offseason was McNichols would get cut because you can afford to keep a Chris Rodriguez on the practice squad opposed to a Jeremy McNichols. So that's my thing. I think they keep three backs. And I give it a C plus group. Moving over to the let's go tight end position since they're close to the offensive line. And then we'll go receiver, then O line. The tight end position for me is missing a lot. Like truthfully. I think what we got out of Zach Ertz, no one expected. I do. I think Zach Ertz performed at a ultra high level for given the fact that how old he was. But how confident are we in his ability to do that again? Are we sure that he's able to give us 600 plus receiving yards again this season? And it's not necessarily, in my opinion, fair to expect a guy like Zach Ertz at his age to give you that much production. So it's less about Zach Ertz and then more about the rest of the tight end group. Ben Sinnott, I've already said, like, I think this is a huge year for him in terms of what do you got? What is it? What is it that we drafted you for? It was supposed to be the Cows use check role and whatnot, and be a fullback slash H back and stuff like that. I get that, but we need to see more out of you. And I don't necessarily just want to put it all on him because I get it. It's probably a lot of the coaching and maybe just being a rookie and not really knowing. But you got to show me something this year to make me give to for me to have faith in you that you were a good pick. I am hard on the tight end group because I love the tight ends. Our tight ends is probably one of my favorite positions in the NFL. Since we lost Jordan Reed, I've been hoping that we can find somebody of that caliber, and we haven't been able to. Ben Sinnott, I fell in love with him in the draft. Outside of Jaden Daniels, he was my favorite pick, and same could be said for Cole Turner because I saw how highly we talked about these guys and how good they looked at Nevada for Cole Turner and at Kansas State for Ben Sinnott. I immediately, as soon as I turned on that tape, I said, "Yeah, Ben Sinnott is Kyle Juszczyk," and if he can finally show some promise, like he had a really good catch in the preseason game. But if he can show some promise and get out there on a consistent basis, I think he has the potential to be really good. He is the outlier of this whole group, truthfully. In my opinion, it's all on his shoulders. Because again, Zach Ertz gave you 600 yards, but if he doesn't give you that, again, can't be mad at him. He's at the end of his career. He already exceeded expectations last year. But I do think Zach Ertz gonna be really good. Listen to the way he's speaking, he's talking as if he, what I'm saying, still feels really good to go out and perform. Ben Sinnott, or should I say John Bates, got paid this offseason. And a lot of people were very curious as to why. But after looking at the tape and understanding and watching every single game, you realize this guy is the best blocking tight end in the NFL. And if he's not the best, he's top three. Top three blocking tight end in the NFL. And they said they paid him not only just for that, but for hopes that he can turn into something else. In hopes that he can turn into something else in terms of a pass catcher. And I said this live on air with the Burgundy Breakdown. I said, what does that mean for me? Does that mean that they're hoping he turns into a one of the best tight ends in the league, or somebody that's top 15, top 10 in terms of production? Whether it's I know I used the high again. I said Sam Laporta, which I know is it seems crazy because it's like, whoa, Sam Laporta is one of the best. But I'm thinking of that Travis Kelsey, the top tight ends in the league, the Brock Bowers and all these guys, and it's Trey McBride's. Like, if John Bates can be half of that, I think he's easily one of the best tight ends in the NFL because he's already one of the best blocking, if not the best blocking tight end. And if he can be half of any of these these prolific tight ends I named that's known to be leading receivers on their team, 100 receiving yard games, stuff like that. If he can be half of that, then he's easily one of the best tight ends in the NFL. So it's a wait and see approach for John Bates because again, I don't think it's the hands. It's more so the protection of the football, and it's more so the run out the catch and what does he do with the ball in his hand? Can he protect it? Because I know time and time again we have nightmares and PTSD of seeing John Bates put it on the carpet. So if he can protect, because I know he can catch, it's about what can he do with the ball in his hands. Kosin Yankov is a guy that is interesting because they always have him around. I know they. I think what last year was his first year, but I feel like I've always heard the name Kosin Yankov. So he's still around, and of course they probably think highly of him as well. Because if not, he wouldn't be here still. So maybe he can make. Maybe do they keep four tight ends? I think Cole Turner's still around, but all in all, the tight end group, I would probably give it a C plus again as well. We have some quality guys, but I'm really waiting for Ben Sinnott to pop off. If Ben Sinnott can pop off this year and take some type of second year leap, I think that would probably easily put us in the B range because John Bates gonna be here for years. He's still just got paid. John Bates can be here for years. And what if Ben Sinnott and John Bates can become a really good duo? With John Bates potentially being the, I guess, number one tight end because Ben Sinnott will be utilized more as a tight end, fullback, Kyle Juszczyk kind of role, so he'll be a chess piece to say the least. But yeah, I'll say C plus for now. And then you go to the wide position. The wide receiver position, if we look at it as a whole, and I'm really talking about guys that I think can make this roster and is going to make this roster. So if I don't mention like the Michael Stractions and the Ja'Cory Brooks of the world, like my apologies, right? But if we look at this wide receiver position group as a whole, Terry McLaurin, assuming he gets paid, Debo Samuel, Jalen Lane, Luke McCaffrey, Noah Brown, and Michael Gallup. That's my six. How good is this wide receiving group truly? Because although I'm a huge Michael Gallup fan, it's still a wait and see with him. But outside of Terry, Debo, and Noah Brown, we really only have three receivers that are proven. Luke McCaffrey's headed into year two. So it's still hopes out for him, of course, and we still want to know what we're getting from him, of course. Waiting to see what we get from him, I should say. But jury's still out on him. Jalen Lane, we have high hopes from him, not only just as a deep threat, but also as a punt returner. But he's a rookie. And who was that? I said Terry Debo, Noah Brown, Jalen Lane, Luke McCaffrey, and Michael Gallup. So we have three receivers that I think are proven. And I think we have three receivers that are still kind of the way to see. And Michael Gallup, he's proven himself in this league before. So I guess it's less of can he prove himself in terms of can he play at this level because we know he can, but can he prove himself that he still has a lot left in the tank? He retired abruptly in 2023, not played all of last year, so he's quite fresh. And that's assuming that he makes this roster because, like I said, there are some undrafted guys. You got some veterans in KJ Osborne and Chris Moore and some other guys like Ja'Cory Brooks and Michael Straction. That's if he makes this roster. But for me, it's simply Michael Gallup versus KJ Osborne. And y'all know how I feel about KJ Osborne. I think KJ Osborne, I don't think KJ Osborne has it. So I would say the position group is a B. I think it is a B, but it has the upside to truly turn into something special if Jalen Lane turns out to be a dog. Like, what if Jalen Lane could be Tank Dell, a healthy Tank Dell? That would be insane. That would be insane. Um, Luke McCaffrey, I'm still not sure because he's only played the position for 3 years, so I'm not harping on him. Like, I'm not rushing Luke McCaffrey, if y'all get what I'm trying to say. Like, I get it. His name is McCaffrey. He's out there, he has to perform. But I'm not rushing him. That's why when I made the video and I put Ben Sinnott in my guy that's kind of on the hot seat and not Luke McCaffrey, I said it. I'm like, it's because I didn't have expectation for Luke McCaffrey coming out of Rice last year. They already said that he was pretty much new to the position. Ben Sinnott, I had true expectation for him. I really did. But I'll say B. With the potentially, if Michael Gallup comes in and gives me 600, 500, 600 receiving yards, even on the high end of 1,000, because my delusional self feel like he can turn back the clock and go back to old Dallas though. But if he can come in and be what I think he can be, the position group can easily be a B plus. And then if you add on Jalen Lane, it could probably turn to an A. But just realistically, based off of the how middle ground the position group is, from where you have half that's kind of proven and then half that's really not, I think a B is a fair assessment. And then to close out the offense, the Washington Commanders offensive line is top five in the NFL. Yes, I said it. At full strength, the Washington Commanders offensive line is top five in the NFL. Tyler Biotish, god dang dog. I love Tyler Biotish, or in some cases, some people call him Tyler Badass. Love Tyler Biotish. You go right guard, Sam Cosmi. And I'm speaking from when the team is fully healthy, not in the current state, because obviously Sam Cosmi is not healthy right now. But Sam Cosmi, right guard. Right tackle, Josh Connolly Jr. Then you flip over to the blockbuster trade that we made for Laremy Tunsil, left tackle, protecting the blind side of the quarterback, one of the best tight end tap protectors in the NFL. And then inside, you have Brandon Coleman. And looking back at it, was he a tackle? Probably not. But he damn sure held his own a lot of times early on, especially in the early on in the season. I'll go back to that Browns game where I think they blow it out of proportion. I think they kind of make it seem like he shut down Myles Garrett, which he didn't, but he held his own. So you're pushing him inside, which historically and scientifically, transitioning from tackle to guard is easier than it being reversed, the other way around. So I have high hopes for Brandon Coleman, and even if he does not work out, look at the depth behind him. Nate Herbig, Andrew Wiley. I think even Trent Scott can play some tackle and guard as well. I think a guy like Nick Algreedy can play guard and tackle. I mean, guard and center. Um, so we have a lot of depth that we haven't had in years, and I think that causes for Washington to be able to do different looks, especially when it comes to training camp, trying to figure out what is the best one. But assuming that it's what I said and we're healthy, top five unit for sure. The dominance of Laremy Tunsil, the dominance of Sam Cosmi, the leadership and grit and fieriness of Tyler Biadasz leading the pack. And then you got the young guys and Brandon Coleman and Josh Connolly, who's a first round pick, and a lot of people think immediately is coming in and contributing. It's the perfect mix. And I think this unit, you'll look back on it and say, yeah, I see what Juan's talking about. Top five. So I give that A plus unit at its peak. At its peak, I'll give it. Actually, you know what? I'll give it an A, because A plus. That's already based off of Josh Conley coming in and being obviously the best tackle in the draft this past year. But we have to we're lower it because we're still yet to see those guys play. Brandon Coleman at left guard, assuming that he's the starter, and Josh Connolly. So I'll say A, but it probably won't take me long to say A plus, truthfully. So that's every position on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, let's start with the D line as a whole. We're not going to go D tackle, edge by themselves because the way our defense is set up, I think we'll have, as I already mentioned, a pass rush by committee. So that's some edge rushing and Javante Jean Baptiste and Dorrance Armstrong and Cleveland Furrow and Jacob Martin. And you have the interior guys, Javon Kinlaw and Dietrich Wise and Deron Payne, who Dietrich Wise can also play some in as well. Deron Payne. I think I think Carl Davis is still around as well. Um, Eddie Goldman. So I kind of will group them all together. Frankie Louv was a linebacker, but I'm sure he'll be utilized more as a passer. So I'll kind of group the edges and defensive tackles together. Interiorly, I think they hit it out the park. To upgrade severely at a position that was a big reason why our defense wasn't as good as it could have been. We did it. A lot of people think we overdid it. I'm talking about going out paying Javon Kinlaw the bag. You go out and you bring in a veteran like Dietrich Wise. You go out and you bring a guy like Eddie Goldman in here. You go out and you bring in a Jacob Martin that has some upside, super athletic and super quick, and he has potential if he can put it all together. You go out and you establish a certain dominance inside that was clearly lacking last season. I don't want to make early season predictions just yet, but I don't expect the running defense to be as poor as it was last year. In fact, I think it'll be a strong suit of our defense, truthfully, because and we'll get a test every week. We're getting a test pretty much. Starting it off with Tyrone Tracy, who I think is good. And then you go to Josh Jacobs. You got Omarion Hampton, Najee Harris on the roster. You got Saquon Barkley twice. You got Jameer Gibbs on the roster. You got so many great running backs. Ashton Genty, who we think is immediately going to come in and be a dominant force in the run game. Like you're getting tested every week, so we'll get this answered. How significant of an upgrade did we truly make? We'll get that answer. But considering that I truly think we upgraded almost borderline dominant inside, I give inside like probably a B. But the pass rush or lack thereof gives me the confidence to kind of like bring it down, truthfully, because Jacob Martin, Cleveland Furrow, Javante Jean Baptiste, you got uh, Dorrance Armstrong. They already mentioned what you call it. I think I already mentioned. I kicked it off with probably Jacob Martin. But you could, I mean, that's why I say Frankie Lou was a linebacker, but I think he's gonna be utilized a lot as a pass rusher. But you can't throw him in there because he's not technically a defensive end. And you could throw Carl Davis in the end or interiorly, wherever you want to place him. But the pass rush, it scares me. It really do, from the simple fact of the position group. Now I've already said I expect Frankie Louvu to chip in. I expect some safety blitzes from a guy like Will Hurst and Mikey Sammer still in the slot. So I expect him to be, as my light just fell. But I expect Mikey Sarver still to be able to get some cornerback blitzes. So in terms of getting pressure on the quarterback, I still think we'll be solid. But in terms of the actual position group itself, I don't necessarily know that it's really good. And that's why I was kind of like a little upset that we didn't truthfully invest in the pass rushing department how I would have liked. I think the pass rushing department definitely needed an upgrade severely, and I thought we would be in on some of these better draftees or with these better free agents, or even put our nose in a trade discussion for some certain guys, and we truly didn't. But overall, I think we'll probably be good in terms of what Joe Wood Jr. can design and what his scheme would be called for. But personnel wise, I am lower on the pass rushing department than most. So that's the reason why I can't really leave it as at a B. I'll probably say C plus again for the overall whole unit, but that probably wouldn't be fair. So I'll say B for the interior. You know what? We'll do it separately. I'll say B for the interior, and I'll say C for the pass rush. And that's being truthfully, that's being generous because I do not think the personnel at the pass rush department is really good at all, honestly. But then you go to the linebacker group. A, A all the way. I think Frankie Louvu, with this expansion of a role on the defense, I think he's gonna make him an all pro. I think he's gonna become one of the best linebackers in football because of what he can do already. And then you add on him being more utilized as a pass rusher as well. I love what Bobby Wagner's doing. I get it. He's 30, he's 35, 36, 34, one of those ages. And he's not the same in terms of speed and quickness and athleticness, but he's still damn good. He still played what every snap last year. So he's still damn good. Then you got Joy McGee. I think I'm gonna go ahead and buy a jersey now. And I know, I probably should because he hasn't done nothing. But Joy McGee is my man, bro. I am like this high on Jordan McGee. Like I get it. One, he hasn't done nothing. Why are you that high on him, bro? They compared this man. I will never let it go. They compared this man to Dre Greenlaw. And if you guys know how good pre-injury Dre Greenlaw was with Fred Warner, oh my God. And how good I hope he is in Denver. Jordan McGee has everything you're looking for in a linebacker. Speed, size, quickness, physicality. Go and get the quarterback and force in the run game. He's the full package. Now it's about can he stay healthy? And if he can, I think Joe McGee is going to be a absolute dog. And with him, they have high expectation for him. That's why he's always running with the ones in mandatory minis. That's why he's running with the ones in training camp last year. They did not expect the injury to hold him back last year. If he was healthy, he would have been out there. That's why you saw a significant difference from when he was in there and Michael Walker was last year. Because there's levels to this. Joe McGee at a Temple is a dog, bro. And I think he's going to be a big reason why we're able to see an extended version of Frankie Louvu's game. Frankie Louvu's been working with Ryan Kerrigan this offseason solely on pass rush specialists and pass rush techniques. If Joy McGee can be healthy and assume the Frankie Louvu role, that's going to allow Frankie Louvu to be utilized more as a pass rush, which would then upgrade our pass rushing game for the lack of personnel that I think we have right now. And that helps out a lot. Because Frankie Louvu had, what, 8.5 sacks last year as a stand up linebacker? Now imagine if he's spending a lot more time there, he'll probably have easily 11 and a half, 10, 11 and a half sacks. But Joe McGee, man, even when Bobby Wagner steps away, I think Frankie Louvu and Joe McGee would easily be a damn good linebacker duo. Now, of course, he has to go out and prove it. And then came Madrano. I love the way he talks, man. How humble, how thankful he was to get drafted, how much of a hard worker he seems to be. He has the connection with Ken Norton and Adam Peters with being UCLA Bruins. I think he can be really solid as well. They talked about moving him to safety potentially, so maybe he gets some safety action. Dom Hampton as well. So I give this linebacker group an A for me for the three guys that I think is damn good. Then you go to this cornerback room, and truth be told, this cornerback room puts a smile on my face. I've already said that I think this cornerback room, the trio of Mikey Samerstill and Marshawn Lattimore and Trey Amos, can be top three in the league, or it can be the safety or the best cornerback trio in the league, I should say. Many teams have great cornerback duos, but I don't know if many teams have three top cornerbacks. Mikey Samerstill's a freaking dog. I love Frozone. Can't wait to get his jersey. That's my man right there. I think Trey Amos is immediately going to come in and show why he could have been a first round pick by this same franchise had Josh Connolly Jr. not been there. I think he's the perfect cornerback for the NFC East. I think he fits right into the to this defense. He's physical, tall, lengthy, doesn't go like that. And when you got guys like CeeDee Lamb and Malik Neighbors and Devonta Smith and AJ Brown that you're having to guard week in and week out, those caliber guys, you're gonna need a Trey Amos. SEC's best shutdown corner. I think he's gonna be amazing. And I think Marshawn Lattimore is going to go back to his old self. Old self. He looked healthy, he looked spry, he looked good in minute mandatory mini camps in terms of moving around. And I think he's gonna prove to us and show us why we traded for him and go back to that Pro Bowl top cornerback level Marshawn Lattimore. Truthfully. Now, beyond that though, because that isn't the only reason why I'm high on the cornerback position. Jonathan Jones, you got Noah Igbenogany, right? This cornerback depth is so good to me that you almost forget how poor it was last year. Just last year, we had Emmanuel Forbes and Benjamin St. Juice and Michael Davis. Like this position group was just trash last year, and to see where we're at now, it's such a massive, massive upgrade. Truthfully, and Jonathan Jones being a Super Bowl winner, being a veteran guy, they said he could potentially play some safety too. Who knows? I think this cornerback room is probably the room that had the biggest makeover outside of the defensive line. Truthfully. And I look at that as a B plus group. The reason why I'm not giving it an A plus yet, because you still have two question marks. Really, you have question marks in terms of, can rookie Trey Amos come in and immediately be a starter and impact how I think he can? And will Marshawn Lattimore, will he return back to form? Or is he truly cooked? So I say B plus. Mike Sainristil, Jonathan Jones are the two guys that I know for sure are going to come in and ball. Why do I feel like I'm missing a cornerback though? Let me see, because I feel like I'm missing somebody that I'm not meant that I should mention for cornerbacks. Uh, Kemon Seymour, no. Carlin Vigors is a name I undrafted that I think can be solid. That may have a chance to make this roster. Fentrell Cephas, but no cornerbacks, and then safety. Last group: Will Hurst, Percy Butler, Tyler Owens, and Quan Martin, Jeremy Reeves. I think this safety group on paper is better than what I actually thought. Because Will Hurst, I think, is gonna be a dog. Y'all know that for sure. I think he's gonna be damn good. Quan Martin, what's his name? Coach Witt Jr., Joe Witt Jr. He said he expects Quan. He holds him to the standard that he can be the best safety in the league. I made that video. And building off of, since Quan had played with two shoulder injuries last year, he's finally healthy. Maybe this is the year he takes that leap. Jeremy Reeves, they talked about Jeremy Reeves getting an extensive role, potentially leading on to actually getting some snaps on defense. And I've always felt that way about Jeremy Reeves. I'm like, bro, we have never had a position group in the safety room or a dominant safety room to where Jeremy Reeves could never give any action outside of special teams. And I'm not telling you Jeremy Reeves is this killer, but I'm telling you, bro, I know he can play. He can play some safety, bro. Like he can play some safety if need be in a backup role. So hopefully he gets some action out there. Um, and then Percy Butler and Tyler Owens, Jeremy Reeves, those are our three special teams gurus. Tyler Owens, absolute dog on special teams. Maybe he gets some action at safety. But overall, the safety group, for the two players that I'm going to think get some action the most in Quan and Will Hurst, I'm higher on that duo than most people. But I'll be fair. I'll say B minus for that group because I think we have three special teams guy. guys that I think are dogs, and I think we have two quality starting safeties. At worst, I think he'll be Jeremy Chin, which Jeremy Chin wasn't bad, but I think the ceiling for Will Hurst is higher. And Quan Martin, I'm backing Joe Witt Jr.'s play. If he's holding him to the standard of he can be the best safety in the league, I have no question or no reason to doubt that because he sees him every day, and he had two shoulder injuries, so now he's healthy. We'll see. And last but not least, we'll talk about special teams. Matt Gay, he's a guy that is interesting because on one hand, you look up the stats and it shows that he's been consistent. I think the most recent. And then on the other hand, you have some guys that are saying, "Oh, well, he's not the best. That's why he's been bounced around from some different teams." So I'm kind of waiting and seeing for Matt Gay before I have an opinion on him. Tress Way, absolute dog. Jalen Lane, I think is gonna come in and significantly give this punt return game a boost that's been missing for years now. Some even go as far as back as saying since Brandon Banks days. Kick returner. It says technically, and we don't know how this is gonna be, and I highly doubt this is how it is. But right now, ESPN has it ranked as Austin Eckler as the starter. I highly doubt that. If I'm Washington, I'm starting Luke McCaffrey a kick returner for the simple fact of Austin Eckler is too valuable to this offense, and he already had two concussions on kick return duties last year. So I put Luke McCaffrey back out there, who I felt like was really good in the times that he did have some kick returns last year, and then long snapper Tyler Ott, anything not named Cam Cheeseman. So that that's it. Um, from what I said, I guess what would be my average? Because I said what A, I said what A for quarterback, C for running back. I think B plus for receiver, B plus for receiver. I think I said C for the tight end group, A A to A plus for the offensive line. Defensive line D interiorly. I think I said a B minus or B. Pass rushers I said C minus. Um, Linebackers I said A. Safety or cornerbacks I said I think I said B. B. And I think safeties I said I just said what I said like C or something like that. So I think my average probably goes out. I wouldn't put us top 10 roster. Probably maybe 13, 14. We're just on the outskirts. Maybe obviously another year, or maybe even if not another year of upgrading the roster, but actually seeing this season play out, maybe we come back and revisit this discussion and say, Washington's roster truly is top 10. But that's all I got to say. But what says you down below in the comment section, man? Leave it down below. I'm gonna read these comments so you can comment it if you want after hearing me. But I'm gonna run through these comments and we're gonna get up out of here because we got some things to go do. Ebony Wright says, "Hi, what's up, Ebony? How are you doing? I appreciate you for stopping by." My guy HTTR Productions. It says he reminds me of 2020. Give a shout out to my guy HTTR Productions Prods. Go follow him on TikTok, man. He's getting into the edit game, so go check him out. Go ahead and follow him over there on TikTok, y'all. My guy Tyus. Shout out to my guy Tyus. W comment yesterday had to post it up on the story because uh said some goated stuff. So shout out to you. He says Juan. There are rumors running around right now between TJ Watt and Terry McLaurin. What you mean? There rumors running around right now between TJ Watt and Terry McLaurin in terms of what like their contracts or like they're holding out. Like what is it? What's the rumors that's running around? Let me see if I can find it. Probably if I go to Twitter, maybe. Y'all probably fill me in on what the rumors is. I'm sure it has to do something with the contracts, but uh But yeah, I seen those twos. It is if let me see. It if I was AP, I'm not making that trade because without Terry, we okay. So basically, there's rumors saying that we trade Terry for TJ Watt. Nah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't make that trade. And me neither. I know we desperately need a pass rush, and TJ Watt would be a damn game changer. But offensively, we didn't trade for Debo Samuel for him to be the number one. So nah, I wouldn't do that. John resembles Mark Andrews to me. John Bay. Oh, if he could be Mark Andrews, if he can be half of Mark Andrews, I'm not talking about Mark Andrews that's kind of taking a back seat to Isaiah Likely. I'm talking about Mark Andrews before they, Mark Andrews. If he can be half of that, oh man, we got us one with John Bates then, because he's already got one part of the tight end position down packed. Bates gets 2 to 3 targets a game. He becomes a threat. Defense has to account for him. Exactly, Steven. Definitely. HTTR says, and what with that, Terry can work his way open. Yep. Yep. Steven says that and a productive Debo look out for. I truly think that. I think Debo shatters this year, this year's this year's this season. Truth be told, says how you feel, Redskins. I feel good. I feel good. Steven Chisholm says, just don't know if Zach can stay healthy though. Another season, I'm gonna need another tight end to step up big. And that's the thing. And I'm gonna knock on wood here. I'm gonna knock on wood, but I'm with you, Steven. Like he had a healthy season last year, and when he healthy, he showed up and he performed. But I have almost a hard feeling to say to really believe he can replicate the health part. I know he can replicate the production at healthy, but it's like, can a 35, 36, 34-year-old guy replicate another season of staying healthy all 17 games? I hope so. HTTR process. I will put Luke on the practice squad so he can learn and develop, and then call him a week 6. So depending on how he's doing. So me, I think Luke McCaffrey deserves to make this roster. I think he's gonna make this roster. I don't have no expectations for him. I won't rush him, but I do think him as the kick returner like he was last year after Austin Eckler went down. I think that's his way to really show if you're true show like some true production to the squad. Steven says Luke returning kicks and Jalen returning punts. That can be a really productive, even explosive special teams. Exactly. That's how I have it. Take Austin Eckler off because he's too valuable to this offense. Sheldon Franklin says Terry's the key. Wholeheartedly agree. Wholeheartedly agree. Terry is the key on and off the field. Facts. Facts. Great person and great player. I think Adam and DQ actually use Terry as their definition of commander. He's the he's the standard, the mode. Exactly, for sure. For sure, for sure. Steven says rewatch the Cardinals game from last season, and our run D was getting abused, painful to watch. Oh yeah, I don't even have to rewatch that game. I remember vividly early on, James Conner was killing us, and then we started to kill him offensively, so they got away from the run game. Truth be told, says staying healthy, no turnovers in the playoffs. We should be in the Super Bowl. I would love that. Cornerback room B plus B plus minus A plus or A plus. Yeah, I think I'll say B plus for now. 2 question marks. If Trey Harrison coming and people we think he can be as an outstanding rookie, and if Marshawn Lattimore can go back to being Marshawn Lattimore, that's easily an A. It was 12-14 Eagles way before the turnovers. Facts. Yeah. Quan is a dog from what I heard. If he's healthy, Joe Wade Jr. said he might be the best safety in the league. It's not for everybody. It says it's 10. My guy Big Simple 422 says it's 10. What's up, Juan? We lit. Shout out my guy Big Simple, man. Make sure y'all subscribe to Big Simple 422, OG in the community. Trading for TJ, yeah, word. He would be a game changer. He definitely would be a game changer. But getting rid of Terry, I'm not for it at all. But there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you guys think about this down below in the comment section. My rankings for the tier list of each position group. And is this roster top 10 right now? I say I kind of put it at the maybe like 13ish range right now. But what says you? Leave it down below in the comment section. As always, it's me, your boy Juan Gotti. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 11,000 subscribers. So we really appreciate if you can reach that goal as soon as possible. Thank you so much. You all have a blessed one. Stay safe. Be easy out there. Peace.
Ballin' like I'm Deshaun, throw the bomb, G. That's IG, my jersey.
Yeah, we 5 and 6.
Ballin' like I'm Deshaun, throw the bomb, G. That's IG, my jersey, never seen a line.